Assalamualaikum, selamat pagi, very good morning. Welcome to the regular online CADe webinar. And today's session, today we were very happy because we are going to have a sharing session from the winner of the PicTL Putra Innovative Creative Teaching and Learning, which is three winners and three presenters is going to share about their teaching and learning innovation. Okay. So today's session also we call Sesi Perkongsian Pemenang Pingat Emas PicTL 2021. Okay, hari ini akan mempersembahkan tiga presenter, alright, three presenters. And the first one will be coming from very far away from USM, Dr. Nasuhali Abdullah. And second presenter will be Dr. Chow Min from UPM, and also the third presenter will be Dr. Nadia Akmal Baharum from UPM as well. Yeah. So we will be very grateful today for this kind of session. So first of all, before I start, let me introduce a little bit about the background of the first presenter, Dr. Nasuha. Okay, and before that, I also would like to inform that we also have today our Deputy Director of CADe, today Associate Professor Dr. Dahlia Zawawi here, and also we have our technical group as usual from CADe. They are very hardworking in terms of to make sure that this kind of webinar program to be successfully implemented or conducted today. All right. Okay, so what I would like to read a little bit about the background of Dr. Nasuha. Okay, Dr. Nasuha holds a doctorate degree in engineering business management and is currently a senior lecturer at School of Computer Sciences, University Science Malaysia. She was the postgraduate program manager from 2016 to 2021. And her duties included managing the running of 3 postgraduate programs: Master Science Computer Science, Master Science Data Science and Analytics, and Master of Informatics. So she's very, I think, well-versed in terms of the computer sciences. All right. She was one of the key team members in the successful rollout of Master Science Data Science and Analytics, the most popular master program in USM since 2017. Prior joining USM in 2009, Dr. Nasuha has been in the electrical and electronics manufacturing industry for over 15 years, specializing in quality management. Well, I believe that Dr. Nasuha has a very interesting background because she was from the industry. Yeah. Her experience includes heading quality departments at multinational companies. Her interest is in effective communication using data to drive decision making. Okay, I think that we have a very outstanding presenters today. So without further ado, let me present you Dr. Nasuhali. Her topic will be the winning poster PicTL 042, title Smart Scheduling for Alternative Assessment. Okay, Dr. Nasuha, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Zatul. Let me share my screen. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay. I think I forgot to add. I'm actually an alumni of University Pertanian Malaysia. So I graduated from the engineering faculty in 1991. So it was 30 years ago.
So you are
it was good.
You are with us actually, yeah.
So it's good to be back. I mean, if this is a face-to-face session, I would love to come back to USM. You know, it was a lot of nostalgic memories there. Okay, thank you everyone, and thank you for inviting me for this sharing session. So before I proceed, let me introduce my team member as well for this Smart Scheduling Alternative Assessment. So they are Associate Professor Dr. Wong, Puan Farah. Dr. Wong and myself are from the School of Computer Sciences, while Puan Farah is from the Center of Communication, Knowledge, and also Technology, kind of like IT department from USM actually. right? So this is the snapshot of our winning poster, so-called Smart Scheduling for Alternative Assessment. But for your information, we actually also entered the same competition and won a gold in 2020. So then it was about alternative assessment made easy. So these two actually have some links. So I will be sharing this as well because the system are linked into are linked basically, right? So if you remember, yeah, I've been handling the postgraduate program for the past 6 years. Okay, so if any of you, by the way, any of you here who are doing become a coordinator for any course, something like final year project or internship, you know, the course that require you, the course that has a lot of PO, you know, a lot of PO, you know, so the tick that nobody wants to have the tick, right? So usually the normal course will have the most 3 or 4 POs, right? But for those courses like final year project and so on, you'll have a lot of other courses because you have to cover for the whole program. So that is actually the challenge for anyone who are handling such kind of course. So in our school, those who is in charge of the program manager has to kind of like take up this coordinator job for all the 3 masters programs. So, well, in that sense, I have a lot of experience in handling such kind of course. So today is my pleasure to share with you some of this experience, which when we face some issues or some challenge in such kind of courses, you know, it kind of like, you know, forces to innovate. So that's why I could actually come up with some idea to help me to manage these courses. So I believe if you have been the coordinator before, the challenge would be the extensive administrative tasks that you have to, you know, endure, so-called, right? So in the sense of you will have to have, because such kind of course who uses alternative assessment will usually have multiple assessors, different types of assessment, and especially will be more challenging when you have large number of students. So such course that I have handled in our school is actually the master's program, which I mentioned just now. It's the most popular program in USM. So the course code is CDS 590. I will talk about this course a bit later. But the nature of this course is that it has 4 assessment components. So all are alternate assessment. So presentation, final report, logbook, and also quality of work. And apart from that, we have also 4 types of assessor, meaning that a lecturer or academic staff could be a supervisor, and you are also tasked with the role of becoming an examiner and also a panel, right? And each of these roles have a different assessment grading or a percentage. And finally is the mentor. So the mentor is from the industry. So for example, the supervisor has to actually evaluate 4 types of components. So you can see the 4 color here, right? So he has to evaluate the presentation, logbook, quality of work, and also final report, while the examiner only take care of the 2 components, and the panel will only look at the presentation during midterm or during the midterm presentation, and the mentor from the industry will be on the logbook and quality of work. So by looking at the type of you know, the component, I think you can guess that this is a kind of consultancy project and a practicum. So the course is, the course actually require the student to go for practicum. And this is the core course, which is the final year or final semester course for Master of Science, Data Science and Analytics. So I do not know your background, but this Master of Science, Data Science and Analytics is the current hot topic or hot you know, domain. You know, as we move into IR 4.0, this is where we learn all the AI thing, the artificial intelligence, you know, the machine learning and things like that. So in Penang, especially, we have a lot of demand from those factories, Intel, WD, and so on. So we have a lot of students from these companies, right? So a little bit about, so this course has 8 units, right? Yeah, it's lasts for 1 semester, and the students are required to have the practicum at the industry and to complete a data science project using real data from the host company. So solving the real problem at the industry. If those of you who are familiar with dealing with industry, you will know that data is very sensitive issue, right? So we also have a lot of challenge in that. But before I go to next week, I need to give you some overview of what the program is all about. Just a quick one. This is not a promo. Is it okay? Because I can't see anyone here. Are you all okay?
Yes, yes.
All right, thank you. Yeah, we were talking to ourselves in my living room. So I need to check for a while.
I will
All
let
right.
you know if you are
Okay. All right, thank you. Just a quick one. So the program is, if you can see, the minimum for this program is 1.5 years, meaning it's only 3 semesters. Right, so when the student enter the first semester, the third semester, it's already practicum. Oh my goodness. So that kind of thing, right? So it's a core project. So it's the end of the the study. Then these are just the structure. So this is the consultancy project, the one here, and so far and currently we have 234 active students in this program. So our intake actually, or enrollment every semester, is about 50 to 70 students every semester. It's not every year. So I think if again, those of you who are into this, you will know that usually for master's program we don't have such a big class, but for Alhamdulillah, I would say, for our programs is every semester we are actually oversubscribed, people. So we have to keep delaying the students to go to next semester because we said our quota is already full. So that is how hot the program is, and how hot the coordinator will become. So anyway, the special thing about this particular course is that at the end of their practicum or their project, we organize a live presentation and assessment. So in an event which we name as a CS Mind, short form for Computer Science, Master Innovation and Demo. So this event is a 1 day or half a day event, depending on the number of students, right? So why I have to highlight this, why the reason for making this into an event is because, like I mentioned, we have to get the students before to find actually practicum hosts for the students, and it's not easy to get the student to find a host for them, especially when you are when you're with the company and you want to use their real data from the company. So it's not easy. So, and data science is also currently, everyone is learning. So even the industry is also, some of the industry are not sure how to go about, right? So that's why we at the same time, so this live presentation is actually open to public, and it actually trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So at the same time, we also invite industry partners, potential industry partners who wants to host our students so that they can come and witness the kind of data science project that the student can do. So, and the projects are very interesting because data science is an tool or technique that you can actually use throughout any domain. So it cut across all types of domain, whether you're in engineering, you're in the medical, or you are in the social, right? So with all those techniques like machine learning, prediction, sentiment analysis using text, and so on. I'm actually promoting, because I'm also looking for practical hosts. Anyway, so that is why we have this. But with this arrangement, it's also pose another major challenge to the coordinator, right? Because in the last semester, or this current semester, we have 73 students in this practicum. Okay, so now this live presentation pose a major challenge for alternative assessment because of scheduling. So now I have to schedule the live presentation within 1 day with a multiple assessor, two assessor to listen to the student presentation, right? So that is the pose a major challenge. So as I mentioned before, when we have this big challenge, it kind of like force us to innovate. So that's why we came up with the, during the first 2 batches, it was okay because this kind of scheduling, if let's say it's only 20 students, you can still do it manually, right? So for example, just to give you a bit of the scenario is that, for example, this is a list of students, right? So, and this student has a supervisor. So every student has a supervisor because it's a project, right? And this supervisor could also become an examiner for another student, right? And another student, right? And also could be a panel. And yeah, so I think you can understand. So now if I want to come up with a schedule to complete all these 73 students to present within 1 day, I think you can understand the complexity of, the session being clashed and things like that. And also we have to make sure that it all complete within a day. Why we have to complete within the event? Because we are opening this to public so that everyone can come and listen to the presentation. So that's why we have the smart scheduling. Alhamdulillah, we have Dr. Wong. So he is specialized in AI, artificial intelligence, and his his expertise is in optimization and algorithm to optimize scheduling, right? So he has this algorithm using a genetic algorithm, which is known for optimization. Then what we need to do is we provide him with a list of students, the examiners, the session chair, the number of slots and so on in an Excel file, right? So, and we tell him the kind of, and also include the unavailable slot for examiner or for students. Well, sometimes some examiner cannot make it in the morning, so they prefer in the afternoon, things like that, right? So, and he is able to use his algorithm and generate a list of, schedule that is near perfect in the sense that it will not clash, right? And help me to solve the issue, right? So the output is, actually a list of schedule and also an individual schedule for every lecturer. Let me just show how it looks like. So for example, I have this, the folder containing all the lecturers. So we have about 44 lecturers in our school. So everyone has to take up at least 4, have to examine at least 4 students for 73, total of 73 students. So for example, this is a schedule for Dr. Anusha, right? So this is a schedule that is generated by Smarties, the smart scheduling system by Dr. Wong. Right, so and we have the session chair, and we have the rooms, and these are the time and also the session. So we have 73 altogether. So every one of the lecturer will receive this schedule. So you can see the name of the student here, the title, who is the supervisor, the examiner, the chair, or the chairperson for the session. Right. So this is how it looked like. And for the for the public, so they can always visit our website. So they can visit our website, the CS Mind. We had this event on, I think, last week, 17th of February. Okay, so a simple program, 1-day program with a speaker, industry speaker, and this is the program, a 1-day program, and we have all the session chairs. So we run about 7 para session in the morning and 7 para session in the afternoon, right? And then the public can actually look at the session room, right? You can just click on the link and then join the session. But before that, you can always check on the schedule. So these are the presentation schedule for all the session chair, right? So this is example session chair by Dr. Azrina. So one session chair will take care of half a day. So there are 6 presentation here, right? So and the public can actually look at these the title, and then if you're interested, then you can just click and then join the session at the time slot allocated, right? Yeah, so okay, so that is about our smart scheduling. And I promise you that I will also share, since I have some time, right? I will also share our alternative assessment made easy, right? So in order for me to manage this this CDS 590, we actually started to build a practical information system, right? And the programmer is Puan Farah. So let me just share with you a bit on how this assessment made easy, just to give you some idea. Okay. Right, so this system, we name it as a Practicum Information System, or CS Practice. So if you are the staff or the lecturer who has been assigned to, assess some of the project, so this is how you log in. And then, for example, I'm logging to my own dashboard. So I have actually 3 students and also 3 panel. I became a panel for 3 students. So you can just click here and then you can see. So it has been done. This has been done. And you can actually look at the students, the detail, who are and where does he, what is the project about, and so on. Let me go back to my dashboard. So the one that I want to show you is about assessment, alternate assessment, made easy. So I have not completed this assessment because I want to keep it for today. So so there are 4 components as a supervisor, right? The 4 components. So I can click on the grading. So I have to evaluate actually final report and so on. So the good thing about this is that I have the rubrics all here. And when I click the marks, I have the pop-up here to show whether, what is the grade now. Okay. And if let's say the marks is, let me just, so this is actually the idea to get the assessor to look at the rubric before you, put the marks. Before we have this system, the normal stuff is that we use a check sheet, right? A manual check sheet, and then with all these rubrics, and I think you know the answer. Nobody looks at the rubrics, right? People just simply tick and excuse me, nobody wants to look at rubrics. So I was hoping that by doing this, that make it easy, then the staff could actually use these rubrics and adjust the marks accordingly. So these are some of the pain when we do our assessment. So we can also, as an admin, I can also set the percentage and so on, and the weightage of all these assessment, right? So at the end of the day, at the end of this assessment, you can, the system will show you what is the grade that the students is having. Then before you actually submit this, right? There are too many columns to fill in. Okay, so that is the idea about the assessment made easy, which we also won gold in 2020. The other thing that the system can do is actually to look at the logbook before I assess to give assessment on the logbook. So we can actually look at the logbook over here. So the students will key in all this, and you have to verify how detailed is the logbook and so on, and they have to log 98 hours. And apart from that, I can also look at the report that the students submit. So as an examiner, so I can download the report, the midterm presentation, slides, and so on, so that everything is here. So this is actually to reduce the error of, coordinator having, send out the wrong report to wrong examiner, or wrong student, the wrong student's report, and things like that. So this has actually helped me a lot in handling this, in entering this. So, okay. So I think that is my sharing for now. I think, before I forget, is that the link between the smart scheduling and this is actually, probably you can notice that Dr. Wong, we are trying actually to integrate Dr. Wong's algorithm into the system, right? So we're still working on this because it's not, there are still some glitch that we have to overcome. So I can't show you the module inside the CS practice yet. Okay, so if you feel free to text me, or to email me. Our student actually is looking for practicum hosts every semester, right? And if you are a researcher, you can also host a student to help you with your data. You wouldn't know what they can do, right? Just give it a try. So if you're interested, you can always write to me. So Dr. Zato, so I think I'm, yeah, over to you, Dr. Zato. Thank you so much for your attention.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Dr. Nasuha. It is very interesting, alternative assessment. But before I give to others to ask question, I would
Yeah.
like to ask question to you.
Yeah.
I was didn't pay attention when you share about what the system. What are the system was? I mean, you mentioned just now. I mean, is it based on certain program?
Yeah, the practicum, is a practicum system.
I mean, the system that you have that kind of mark, all this kind of what are the system is?
Oh, that one is for assessment, for alternate assessment. You know, you have to when you have to assess the report, so you have the rubrics to assess the report.
Is it based on the USM? That the system is belong to USM, or you are the one who created this kind of system?
Yeah, we created in our school. Yeah, we created ourselves.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Okay, all right. So now I'm open for any questions from the attendees. Any questions to Dr. Naswa?
Dr. Nasuha.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Very,
doctor.
very interesting system that you have. And I think our program also may need that kind of system, because ours actually integrate also the practical people, right, as part of the supervisors. So I was just wondering what it takes actually in terms of the costing or the experts, in order to build such a system.
Oh, actually, that system is created by Puan Farah. So only she alone and me giving the input. So we work, I think we came up with that within one semester, right? So then we start to trial run the next semester. And as we go on, even until now, this is I think the third batch that we are using the system. So we are still improving here and there. Yeah. So it's an in-house kind of thing.
It is in-house, and it is also the initiative of you as the coordinator, is it?
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because
it makes things easy, right?
Exactly, yes.
Okay. And interesting, very, very how to say proactive on your side, to be able to do that. But in terms of the level of expertise that is needed to build up such a system,
the web-based system. Yeah, it's a web-based system. Any programmer in the in the university can do this.
Okay.
Yeah, but of course, the program, sometimes you need to click with the programmer as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you understand that. So because our requirements, you have to understand each other. Those kind of things. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
So I think that maybe Kate will consider to invite Dr. Nasuha for another specific session to discuss about how to share, how to build up this kind of program, or maybe this kind of alternative assessment. Because I think that for those other programs who have many students and many, especially master level, I believe that this kind of system, I think, may helpful in terms of we need to cooperate all these kind of marks, grade, everything. I think it is very, very useful. Maybe Dr. Dahlia, we can consider to invite Dr. Nasuha later on to give specific webinar about this kind of topic.
Okay, sure. Inshallah.
Okay, any other questions from our participants today? If not, that maybe they will put the question at the end of the session after all the presenters finish. So maybe we would like to invite, thank you very much, Dr. Nasuha. I hope that you can stay until end of the session. If you don't have,
sure. I would like to listen to them. Yeah.
Just in case if there is any participant would like to ask you more questions. Okay, now I think we will go to Dr. Chong. I think in UPM, Dr. Chong is not longer it's very popular now, I think, especially in terms of teaching and learning. He has a very numerous many things about innovation in teaching and learning, especially in terms of UDL. Okay, Dr. Chong Chow Min is a senior lecturer in Department of Aquaculture, Faculty of Agriculture, University Putra Malaysia. His area of expertise is fish immunology, and he has worked since 2020. He initiated Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. In 2016, he has led a team of lecturers from both technical and social sciences to integrate UDL in gamification and student-centered learning. And their team has have introduced more than 20 UDL integrated gamified activities for students of different individual diversity. In 2021, the team has developed a mobile application called UDL Versity and apps that help educators to design UDL integrated teaching and learning activities. The team actively participates in national and international conferences and workshops to share, update, and discuss the latest finding of their pedagogical innovations. They have won various awards from both national and international pedagogical competition. And I think from his CV, Dr. Chong has many awards, many goals, many kinds of awards, international and from the national level in terms of teaching and learning innovation, which I believe that if I would like to share here, I think it's very long list. So without further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Chong to share about what he has been curated under the title inclusive education, under the themes of inclusive education. PicTL number last year is 245.
245.
245, yes. UDL Versity, a mobile app that makes planning of universal design for learning easier. Okay, Dr. Chong.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Satu. Good morning, everyone. I'm Chong. So I'm going to represent my teams to share the poster competition we joined last year in PicTL 2021. So it's about a mobile apps that actually make UDL easier. So I would like to start with a little background about UDL. So UDL is something that quite familiar for in the field of inclusive educations. But for your information, most of us as educators will choose a pedagogy approach that we are comfortable with. For example, some of you prefer gamification, for example, apply Kahoot in your class and so on. But sometimes we tend to overlook the learner diversities, their individual differences and needs. For example, let's say we apply Kahoot in our class, and my favors fast responders, whereas slow responders, they may perfunctorily participating in activities. So like this is a comics that quite popular, where like the educator evaluates the animals based on the ability to climb the tree, which they say that it's a fast actions because I apply to across all the students, but it's indeed not really fair because it's not taking considerations of individuals' variations. So UDL is actually a framework established to address these issues, and it's actually a benchmark and well-accepted models for inclusive educational designs. So it's actually created by CAS. CAS is Center for Applied Spatial Technologies under Creative Commons, and you can refer to these frameworks to design all your activities, even topics and activities or programs. They use like neuroscience research, and they realize that the different networks of our brains is engaged for different when we learn by engagement, representation, action, and expressions. With that, they actually design these frameworks. It's actually a very complicated, but it's very comprehensive frameworks, and you can read these frameworks vertically or horizontally, and by fulfilling the guidelines, you can actually make your activities more inclusive. And it's actually being recognized by multiple educational bodies, including UNESCO. and that thinks UDL is a very important guideline for inclusive education. So for UPM wise, we actually have a lot of initiatives on UDLs. So my teams actually consist of educators of different faculties, both technical and social sciences. And we, at first in 2018, we integrate UDL with gamifications, because a lot of us like to do games, and we worry that the games only favoring certain group of students. I take my class, my course, for examples, different than Dr. Nasuha. My course is in elective course. It's not so popular for, because I'm from agriculture faculty, so students, they are more the course that addressing technical skills are more popular for them. They like the course that deliver teaching technical skills, especially like culturing fish and so on. But theory-based subjects are not quite for a lot of them. So when I initiated on my elective course, I observed this problem. So I tried to make this theory course fun. And I realized that if I apply games in my class, are they going to favor every student? Are they joining the activities proactively? So when I realized that if I can integrate UDL with games, the students become more proactive and it's engaging. So I start to discuss these ideas with some of my friends, and they also have inputs on UDL. So we try to integrate with that. We join multiple competitions, 2018 and 2019. So we have more and more games being introduced by our teams. Try to make, like, a lot of educators, they not prefer to know what is UDL. They just need us to tell them what is the game about. That is our previous year competitions. And we also measured different POs, CTPS skills, psychomotor skills, and cognitive skills as well. And last year, we also have a poster submissions on, we integrate this UDL with online hybrid, online synchronous and asynchronous activities. And we also combine with the others pedagogies, and it works very well. So we have won a number of awards, and with that, we are actually being recognized by UNESCO. We are actually being asked to give a briefing about what is UDL, and I actually being invited as a co-expert in a national policy drafting for inclusive OER. So for this inclusive OER, it's my privilege to be part of it, and we spell out UDL in this policy. It's actually being launched end of last year by CPD. So in March 2021 last year, UPM also very emphasized on inclusive campus. So UDL also being spelled out as a very important element for teaching and learning. So those are initiatives of UPM in terms of UDLs. But so what's the issues? The issue we want to address is when we realize there's so many benefits offered by UDL, and you can integrate UDL with a lot of pedagogies techniques, but why still educators are feeling they are not really embrace this framework? One of the major problem is the UDL is too overwhelming for them. It's too complicated, and we are actually tied with a lot of KPIs and administrative works and so on. If you want to design your activities based on all these nine domains, it's quite overwhelming. Take this example. These are the website of the guidelines. You can access them in this website. You can see that it's 3 principles and organized in 3 vertical rows of access, views, and internalize. And they are break into 9 domains, and each domains, they have sub checkpoint. So all these checkpoints are the guidelines that actually lead you to design your activity. So if you create one by one, you can see that there's a lot of information and how do you fulfill the checkpoint 3.1 and so on. So it's going to be very overwhelming. So that is actually hinders the educator to embrace this design, and therefore it's really not good for inclusive educations. So we have a good framework, but people not adopt it. So we try to make the UDL designs easier. So we created apps after we have keep on recommending colleagues about UDL. So I think the better way is let them design UDL in the layman's and step-by-step way. So we create this UDL Versity, and it's free. You can actually register without any subscription fees, and upon register you can change your passwords and you can create your worksheets and courses. So from here you just need to answer 39 questions, and the questions are quite straightforward, like your name, the course, the name of your course, and so on. So for examples, like these are the my handphone recordings. So you can record, like you can design the UDL worksheet for a course, a topic, or an activity, and name the activity. Let's say I want to do a superhero game. So I write superhero there, and then I need to design the game to be more inclusive. So I just by answering those questions. So let's say one of the question number 10, so what kind of vocabulary is actually present in that activities? I can list down the terms, and how can I familiarize the learner with this term, and so on. It's more on like educator friendly questions, leading you to answer all the checkpoint. So you do not need to manually create one by one in each checkpoint to understand what are the checkpoints about. But by answering our layman questions, you can actually address the UDL. And let's say this is the last questions, like how to address the phobias and so on. So by submitting it, you can review your worksheet in Word files and or PDF, or else you can back to homes and found those worksheets in the course list, and you can edit from that. For example, if I click on PDF, so that PDF will appear, and you can see that the answer that I answer those questions, all the action will pull to each checkpoints that matching, and also display them in the UDL worksheets. So that is actually super convenient, and also remind you what kind of a difficulty you're going to face in your class by answering those questions. So we try to measure the impact. We have a control release to a UDL's educator, those that use UDL before. And if you design UDL, your activity according to UDL manually, you're going to understand how hard and complicated. So a lot of them think it's a very inspiring app, and also help them to understand UDL, and also it's much also very strongly agree on it make UDL designs very in a very effective way. And when you use the UDL activities designed by the apps on the class, we measure by both Faculty of Social and Technical Sciences. The students give very good feedback. So we would like to advance more than that. We have like value added onto it. For example, when during a control release, we get the feedback from the users, and they told us that, yeah, some of the question, for example, set appropriate goal, I do not know how to answer, and so on. So we give tips on each question. So if you have like difficulty to address certain question, you can just click on the tips, and we will provide some of the examples. And also like 39 questions, although it's not very difficult, but we also sandwich those inspiring quotes in between, so that you can take a break and remain inspiring. And also we have embedded the UDL information. So under a tab, what is UDL? We brief about UDL and history and the principles. And also we realize that some of us would like to revise, although we're answering those questions, we would like to revise the table. So we make it in the editable form, which is a Word files. So you can change your action plans accordingly, even you have completed the questions. So at aesthetics wise, we would like to enhance the experience of the users. We actually let the user to customize the contrast, the color, the font size. So you can see it's all customizable. And also, and all the design, all the cartoon used is actually drawn by me. So it's actually copyright free. So there's an aesthetic value there. So next, expandability wise, this app is actually versatile and applicable in any other course because UDL is meant to be universal, applied in any course, and it can integrate with a lot of pedagogies techniques. So accessibility wise, we would like to make it free. So it's going to be accessed. Now we are gathering fund for make it like available on Android and also Apple's. But now what we have here is a control release. So whoever is interested, they actually need to fill up the NDA form with us, and then we'll give them the install the apps in APK files for them to install on their Android device. And efficiency, because it's very efficient, because it's meant to be universal. UDL is universal. You need to design difficult first. I mean, you need to take time to design first, but since like susah dulu senang kemudian the concept like that, you need to really take efforts on designing them, but it can be reused, it's recyclable, and it's applied to both social and technical sciences. So it's very sustainable. And since the IOER policy have been launched, so and also there's a lot of concept of to make the campus as an inclusive environment. So this apps is going to be helpful because if you launch a policy and you want every educator, encourage our educator to embrace inclusive designs, might as well have something to facilitate them to design their activities. So before I end, I would like to thanks the grants provided by UPM, incentive grants for research and teaching and learning, JIPP. And also I would like to thank my teams. They always take extra works, extra times to innovate and give inputs. And if you interested to collaborate or give us feedback, feel free to scan the QR code. So with that, I pass over to Dr. Sato.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Chong. One of the innovator in terms of creating UDL versity. I think it's very interesting apps. Which also I would like to ask first question. Is it available in the desktop? I mean, only on as a mobile apps or only we can also access in our PC.
Okay, at the moment, it's available for Android user. For mobile one, we have initiative to talk to CADe. We're having a few meetings with CADe before, but there's a lot of issue involved on create a landing page and so on. So that is still in the process of working it out. So we can say at the moment, it's not available in the web-based. It's actually Android apps, and also we are gathering funds to funding to make it available, because if it's going to be a Creative Commons, it need fund to sustain the subscription fee on Android and also Apple markets. Yeah, at the moment it's still just for a mobile device. You can design with the tablets. For the patch versions, we we don't want to park anyway because it's going to be using a cloud-based system. Everyone can design and download their file. If we just use a normal service provider outside, it's not going to be secure. We worry that we want it's a creative commons, and when it's actually universally used by UDL users, we like to make it safe. So that is still in the process of discussing and negotiating with UPM. Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Sorry that I'm using my power to ask question before the participants. Okay, now open to the participant if there are any questions to Dr. Chong about this kind of interesting apps. You can also write in the chat. Also, you can also open on your mic and then ask directly the question. Dr. Chong, will you please share again the QR code so that maybe everyone can also try to scan and then we can try to try to play around.
The QR code is actually leading to my emails. For those that interested, they need to email me, and our team will issue them an NDA form before we give them the apps. So because now we want to make it Creative Commons, we do not want any party to copyright it without our consent. So that's why it's in the control release now. It's actually passing the beta testing. It's already a mature apps. But we, like some of the professors, they actually email us to use it. So we won't release publicly yet unless we secure the funding to pack it on the Android and Apple markets. So I will put my emails in the chat. So for whoever's interested to on this app or any UDL project, let's say they want to integrate their pedagogy technique, their current pedagogy technique with UDL, they can feel free to ask us. So I'm typing my emails in the chat.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Dr. Chong. So any questions from the participants?
It's like a chatting section again, like a chatting section of Peter over again.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Chong, for writing your email in the chat. I think if there is no further questions, let us go to the next presenters. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Chong, for very interesting and innovative sharing session about the UDL Versity. I'm trying to pronounce it. All right. Okay, now we will go to the last presenter. The third presenter will be Dr. Nadia Akmal Baharum from Department of Cell and Molecular Biology, Faculty of Biotechnology and Biomolecular Sciences, University Putra Malaysia. The title would be on the something which is very interesting as well for I think for the UPM staff especially, about the implementation of Safe Exam Browser SEB in UPM. This is the title for the poster won in the PicTL last year. Dr. Nadia is a senior lecturer in the Department of Cell Molecular Biology, Faculty of Biotechnology and Biomolecular Sciences, specializing in plant genetic engineering and molecule. She is currently a member of UPM Teaching and Learning Innovation Committee, JKIPP UPM. And under this committee, she plays role as the head of Safe Exam Browser SEB study committee and leads the Putra Blast portfolio. She has also conducted several training sessions in UPM and in her faculty, mainly in the implementation of Putra Blast, focusing on the integration of H5P as part of the teaching and learning activities. She had also actively participated as speaker, facilitator, and moderator in several continuing professional department or CPD session organized by CADe and other institutions. I think Dr. Nadia is very, very active in terms of giving many sharing session about the Putra Blast. Okay, okay, Dr. Nadia. I think without further delay, let us listen to Dr. Nadia Akmal Baharum about his sharing session about the poster that here for the last year PicTL. Dr. Nadia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Zatul. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning. Thank you as well to Dr. Chong and Dr. Nasuha. Very informative sharing just now. Learn a lot from the sessions as well. And insyaAllah today we are finally in the final session. Tak mengantuk lagi kan? Boleh tahan lagi sekejap je insyaAllah. So today on behalf of my team, I will be sharing our findings on the functionality and challenges in implementing Safe Exam Browser or SEB in UPM. So any one of you has heard of SEB before or probably have used it before in your assessment? Anyone? Maybe you can share in the chat session. Any idea what it might be? Pernah ke?
I have did one.
Yes.
Okay, great. Because later if you have time, then maybe you can share your experience using SEB. Because from our team, these are our findings up to until September last year, I think. Some lecturers might already know about SEB and probably have used it before. So hopefully we can have a sharing from these lecturers who have already used SEB before, so that we can increase what we share today. So first, let me introduce our team members. So as mentioned by Dr. Zatul, I am a part of the UPM Teaching and Learning Innovation Committee. So this is an initiative or a study initiated under JKIP. We call it JKIP for short. So under this study committee for SEB, we also have a few lecturers from other faculties. We have Dr. Khadijah from the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, Dr. Nasir, Dr. Nasir ada kan? Nampak Dr. Nasir tadi? From the Faculty of Human Ecology, Dr. Radia from the Faculty of Food Science and Technology, Dr. Raj Adeka from the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences. And we also have representative from CADe, Cik Faris, and also from IDET, Cik Kamal. And our team findings are also closely advised and supervised by Dr. Fadlina, who is the Deputy Director Innovation of Teaching and Learning CADe UPM. Now, what we're going to do today, first I will just briefly introduce what is a Safe Exam Browser. How can you use a Safe Exam Browser? What are some of the features of Safe Exam Browser or SEB? Then later I will demonstrate how can we, from the perspective of an instructor or lecturer, implement or set up Safe Exam Browser. Then since these are going to be used by the students as well, so I'll be sharing how the students will view the quiz that has been set up with Safe Exam Browser as well. So that would be about the demonstrations. And from our team findings, we also find some limitations regarding SEB. So we are going to talk a bit about the limitations of SEB. Then in addressing these limitations, we also have some recommendations on how you can make use of SEB in UPM. Okay. So looking at this picture, I think many of us can relate to this, especially in this pandemic era where teaching and learning are mostly conducted online, including the assessment. So when we conducted online assessments, we have no way of proctoring our students face-to-face. So we have no idea what are other tabs that they open or whether or not they refer to notes in the device or they text their friends via WhatsApp or Telegram. So it's very challenging for us because that is the challenge in managing and mitigating the risk of academic dishonesty during online assessment. That's why we think the needs for remote exam monitoring platforms are very crucial. And I'm sure we are all familiar with some of the exam monitoring platforms, e-proctoring platforms such as exam.net or Examsoft. But do you know that in our Putra Blast, we also have a setting that is called Safe Exam Browser or SEB that can be used as a way to remotely proctor your students during online assessment, and it's on Putra Blast. So obviously it's accessible to all of us and it's free. You don't have to subscribe or pay anything to use SEB. So what is SEB? SEB is a web browser environment that is used to carry out online exams safely. Sounds very vague, right? So how does it define safe? So what it means here is that if you set up your quiz using Safe Exam Browser, your students, they have to take the quiz or the exam in this browser only, this SEB browser. And when they do that, they will be prevented from accessing any other browsers or any other applications in the device. So that's what it means by carrying out the online exams safely. Obviously, there are some other features that I will share later, but in short or in brief, that is all about SEB. And as I mentioned before, it has been integrated as one of the settings under quiz function, in Putra Blast. So since I think many of us might not be familiar with SEB yet, let me just go briefly to my Putra Blast and show you how can you find this SEB setting on Putra Blast. Okay, give me a few seconds. I need to switch my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, you can see.
Okay. So this is one of the courses that I taught last semester, BSM 4501, Applied Plant Cell and Tissue Culture. So make sure, obviously, you need to turn editing on. Okay, so the question is, how can you set up Safe Exam Browser in your quiz, right? Okay, so since this is not a workshop, so I will not spend so much time here. So let's say you want to create the quiz or test here in this particular section. We just choose this section, SEB demonstration. Just a normal way on how you set up a quiz, you need to add an activity or resource, okay? Then obviously you need to choose quiz, okay? I'm sure you are all familiar with this, okay? Just put a dummy name. So for the other settings, I will not touch on this. You can choose, just use the normal settings that you already used before in your exam or test or quiz. What I want to highlight here is this one particular setting here, Safe Exam Browser. I'm not sure how many of you have realized that we have this setting down here under quiz function. So if you want to use Safe Exam Browser in your test or in your quiz, what you need to do is you need to click on the Safe Exam Browser setting. By default, it's disabled. So you see no here, okay? So if you want to enable it, you just need to click here and just choose one of the options that are down here. The simplest way of setting up Safe Exam Browser on Putra Blast is by clicking Yes, Configure manually. That is the most simplest way of setting SEB. I will talk more about what are the differences between configure manually with the other two options here, but let me just choose Yes, Configure manually, okay? Then normally we do not change any other options here. You can if you want. For example, if you want to require your students to enter password before they quitting the quiz from the Safe Exam Browser mode, you can put the password here if you wish. Okay, other than that, you can, for example, enable spell checking. You may want to click yes if you want to change this option, or enable URL filtering. For this one, I will also share what does it mean by URL filtering. But other than that, if you're okay with the settings, what you need to do is just need to click here, yes, configure manually. That's it, okay? Then save and display, okay? Save and display. So what happened next is just like how you set up a normal quiz, you need to add question, okay? So you need to add, to click edit quiz. Then let's say you want to add question. If you have question from question bank, you can do that. Let me just add a new question, and it's an essay question. Okay, and the dummy name here. Not change any other settings, then I just click save changes. Now, let's just assume that you have completed all the questions. You have added all the questions that you want. Now you want to preview your quiz from the perspective of a lecturer, okay? Okay, previously, if you do not have this Safe Exam Browser set up in your quiz, you will just see this particular button here, preview quiz now. But now, since you have already implemented or integrated or used SEB setting in your quiz, you can see another button here that says download configuration. What does it mean here? If you want to preview the quiz under or using SEB mode, just like how your students will view it, you just have to download this, okay, download configuration. Then you will have your configuration file downloaded in your device. Then you need to click on this configuration file, then only you can preview your quiz using SEB mode. Now, the reason why I did not show this because SEB will not allow screen sharing or screen recording. So if I were to click this and preview the quiz, you will not see anything from my side. So it's just like a blank, not blank, a pause screen. So what I'm going to do after this, I will show you how your students will view or how can your students do quiz using SEB, okay? So let me just stop here. This is just on how you as lecturer can set up SEB in your Putra Blast. Okay, let me stop share first and let's go back to my slide. Up to this point, you are clear with how you can set up SEB, right? It's quite straightforward because it's like a normal quiz. Okay, now, since our team realized that not many lecturers probably have used SEB before, so our team aims to analyze the scope and functionality of SEB that has been integrated into Putra Blast. That is our first objective for the study. And we also want to identify what are the limitations of SEB if we want to use it in our quiz or in our test. Then again, like I mentioned before, in addressing these limitations, we would like to propose some appropriate e-assessment settings if you want to use SEB in your quiz or in your test. Okay, these are the three objectives that we want to achieve from this study. So now, going back to the features of SEB, SEB currently is available only for Windows, Mac or Mac iOS users, which means that if your students are Android users and he or she want to take the exam using his phone, he will not benefit from SEB. So it's just like a normal browser. So you will not, the students will not benefit from SEB if they use Android, okay, Android OS. So besides the features that I mentioned before, to elaborate more on the features of SEB, if you implement SEB in your quiz, your students will only be able to attempt the quiz if they are using the Safe Exam browser. Other than that, they will not be able to take the quiz if they do not use Safe Exam browser. And the Safe Exam browser, the browser itself, the browser window won't have any URL, so the students cannot type anything to search any website or search anything not like Google. So they will not be able to do so during the test. And SEB cannot be closed until the test is submitted. It's not that, from our findings, it's not that the SEB cannot be closed until the test is submitted. If let's say your students are disconnected from the quiz during the quiz, he or she can still go back to the quiz depending on the settings on how you set up the quiz, but whatever time remaining, that's it for her, okay? So they will still be able to reassess the SEB and continue the quiz, okay? And when they do the quiz using SEB, they are not allowed to switch to other applications in the device. So they cannot open notes on the device or use Zoom, for example. Any third applications is not allowed except or unless you allow them to do so. And if you want to do that, if you want to allow the third party application, you have to specify that, okay? And it's not by using manual configuration. So that's the other option, configuration file, using your own configuration file. So it's not a straightforward setup just now that I showed you. Still doable, but it's quite complicated compared to the manual configuration. And obviously no screenshot, no shortcut keys during the test. And if you want to, let's say, for example, allow the students to access to certain links, okay, certain websites, you can do so by URL filtering. This can be specified when you set up the quiz just now. That is the function of URL filtering. So that's those are the features of SEB. So for SEB, I think let me just show you how your students can do the quiz using SEB. Okay. Again, let me share another screen. Okay. Okay, yeah. It's a video, so can you see another screen that I showed here?
Yes.
Alright. Okay, now just imagine that you are a student, your lecturer or instructor has set up the quiz using SEB. Now you are logging into Putra Blast as a student. So this is how your Putra Blast will look like. So let's say the quiz name is SEB trial. So normally the students will only see attempt quiz, okay? Attempt quiz, then they just need to click on that attempt quiz and they can start doing the quiz or the test. Now, if the quiz is set up using SEB, these are a few different tabs that the students would see on their screen. Download Safe Exam Browser, launch Safe Exam Browser, download configuration, or back to the course. If the students already download the Safe Exam Browser in their device, they can just click launch Safe Exam Browser. However, if the students is a first timer, they don't have the Safe Exam Browser downloaded and installed in their device. Remember, the device must be the device that he is going to use for the test. Okay, so let's say he downloaded and installed SEB software in laptop A, then he need to use laptop A for the test. He cannot use laptop B. That laptop B has no Safe Exam Browser installed. Okay, so you have to remember that one. Okay, so let's say the students has no Safe Exam Browser downloaded and installed yet. So what the students need to do, I will just fast forward this. It's quite a long video. Okay, so they need to click on download Safe Exam Browser, or they can directly go to Safe Exam Browser website, safeexambrowser.org. Now they need to find the version that suits their OS, okay, Windows, Mac OS, or iOS. Install it, download and install it. Okay, so this is the downloading process. Okay, the student save in their device and then install. Okay, this is the installation process. I'll not show the whole video, just fast forward this. Okay, so download and install, make sure it's properly installed in the device. Now the students can go back, okay, go back to their Putra Blast once it's already installed in the device. Okay, now the students can click launch Safe Exam Browser to start the quiz. Okay, so once he click the launch Safe Exam Browser tab, okay, here, now he will be brought to a new and separate browser, which is the SEB browser. And at this point, he will be separated from the rest of the applications in the device. So now it's like a new world for the students, because the students will not have access to any other applications or any other browsers in the device anymore. Okay, so this is how the Safe Exam Browser look like. Okay, at this point, if you notice, there are not many types of functions or buttons that the students can click. They just show you the battery, the power battery icon, time, date, not much, okay, not much. But the students still need to log in, okay, log in to Putra Blast. Then after that, okay, at this point, they are back in Putra Blast, but remember it's now on SEB browser. Okay, what happened now is that now only the students can see the attempt quiz button or attempt quiz tab. Okay, previously, if you remember, there is no attempt quiz button, kan? Okay, so now the student can attempt the quiz. Okay, answer all the quiz just like normal quiz, but again, the students have no access to other browsers, cannot screenshot, cannot copy anything. Okay, answer all the quiz. Okay, if let's say they are satisfied, they can click submit or and finish. Okay, check the answers back. And if they want to log out from this SEB and go back to the normal browser, they just need to click this power button here. Okay, so let student click on the power button here. Okay, click on the power button. Do you want to create SEB? Yes. Then after that, the student now is back on the normal browser. It's no longer SEB. Okay. Hopefully this is clear for you from the perspective of a student, how they can make use or use SEB in their quiz. Okay. Again, let me go back to my slides. Am I going too fast? Okay, ke?
It's okay, Dr.
Okay.
Nadia.
Okay, thank you. Suara tak ada. Okay. So Remember the different browser settings that are available on the SEB setting just now. So by default on our Putra Blast, it's not, it's disabled. So you don't need to use Safe Exam browser to attempt the quiz, or the students are not required to use Safe Exam browser to attempt the quiz. You can configure manually, just like what I showed before, but remember the limitations of manual configuration. You cannot add third-party applications. So if let's say you are planning to monitor your students via Zoom as well, because remember, SEB only prevent the students from accessing the browsers and applications in the device, which means they can still access to hard copy notes, right? So if you still want to proctor your students using Zoom, for example, then you have to use third-party application in your SEB configuration, and that is not possible using manual configuration. So that's why you have to upload your own configuration, and this must be done using configuration files. It's quite complicated, so I'm not going to show it here. If you are interested, then maybe we can have another sharing for that. Okay. So these are the limitations with manual configuration. External application cannot be used within SEB, and from our findings as well, Mac iOS users will not benefit from the manual configuration as well. We have tested with a few students who use Windows and also Mac OS. They can use or do the quiz using SEB under manual configuration, but for Mac iOS, which means they probably use their iPad or iPhone, they are still in the same browser, the normal browser mode, which means they are not prevented from accessing any other browsers or applications in the device. So from our findings, I'm not sure if the lecturers who have tested this SEB, but from our findings, the manual configuration doesn't work well with the Mac iOS users. Okay. And this is the one that I mentioned just now. If you want to use an external application, Zoom, for example, you cannot use manual configuration. It must be done with using the specific configuration file. Okay. Now, if you're interested to use the third-party application, again, it can be done using SEB configuration files, but it's more complex. Okay. So other limitations, at this point, what our teams find is that we are trying to set up the configuration files that can integrate Zoom. However, due to time limitations and also some other factors, we have yet to finalize the settings for the Mac OS and Mac iOS users. So which means that we have not yet found the right settings for these OS users if they want to integrate, for example, Zoom in their configuration files. This is different from the manual configuration. Okay, I'm talking about the SEB configuration files. Again, this is not compatible with Android users. And from our findings as well, different user experience shall be expected because due to device incompatibility or different versions being supported by SEB. If you go to the SEB website, you can find some tips on this. There are certain versions that are supported, certain versions of the device and OS, which support SEB. So from our findings, when we tested this with the students, some students, even though they are using, let's say, Windows, but student A, Windows user A, have different user experience compared to Windows user B. For example, if the setting does not allow access to notes on Putra Blast, user A might be able to access it, user B might not be able to access it. So that's what I mean by different user experience. There are some more, but those are the main one. Okay. And other limitation, I would say, because not many people might use SEB now, you should expect some technical assistance, technical problems if you want to troubleshoot this SEB with your students and your friends. Okay. So having said that, SEB is still useful. I'm not saying that you cannot use SEB despite the limitations. We still have some recommendations for you. If you want to use SEB, SEB is still okay, suitable for online exam, of course, but we strongly advise you as lecturer to use it first, probably with a small group of students only. Okay, If you want to use the manual configuration, just try with a small group of students, Windows or Mac OS exam takers, or you can probably set up this SEB in a computer lab, centralized exam setting. Let's say you have a computer lab, 40 computers in there. So you can set up SEB there in the computer lab. Then the students can take the exams in the computer lab using SEB. So that can be done as well. And we also recommend the lecturers or the instructors to do a pre-testing prior to the actual test, because I'm not sure, as much as we lecturers do not know much about SEB, the students also do not know about SEB. So do not wait until the day of your exam. Please spare some time before the exam, like a week before, run a dry test with the students. Make sure you give the right instructions, make sure they download and install SEB in the device. And during the dry run, just ask them what are the technical assistance that they need, whether or not they can view the quiz. You can just create a dummy quiz for them to do and see whether or not they can conduct or take the quiz using SEB. Okay. And from our side, from our team, we think that further studies still need to be done on the usage of the SEB configuration files. As I mentioned before, we have some time limitations. Our study was completed, I think, September last year. So since then, we did not have any regular meetings anymore. So our findings are only up to that September 2021. There could be some improvements made by the developer, which you can share if you have used SEB before. I would love to hear that. So in conclusion, SEB can be used to assist instructors in managing and mitigating the risk of academic dishonesty during online assessment. But I'm sure the instructors and the students need to be guided. Okay, obviously you need to be guided. If this is the first time you heard about SEB, don't worry. You have plenty of time to go through what is SEB, try SEB on your own. If you want some tutorial videos, you can text me or you can contact me. I have the tutorial videos that I showed you just now. I can share with you. We have yet to have our step-by-step process, which is the soft copy one that is yet to be developed. But for the tutorial videos, don't worry, I have those. If you want it, you want them, you can get them from me. And we still have to, analyze the functionality and effectiveness of SEB using the SEB configuration files, because using SEB configuration files, there's so much things that you can do besides the manual configuration. Just now, the third party application using Zoom, that's only possible using the SEB configuration file. Okay. Other than that, I think that's it. And of course, I would like to thank my team member, Dr. Khadijah, Dr. Nasir, Dr. Radia, Dr. Raj, Cik Kamal, Cik Faris, and last but not least, Dr. Fadlina. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Nadia. I think this is also another topic which is important for, especially for UPM lecturers. And there is a conversation in the chat box about this kind of topic. So I think at first Dr. Chong has, Dr. Siti Ngalim has already asked, she just made some comment first, and then Dr. Chong has also shared something about some of the immediate issues, which I think Dr. Nadia has also highlighted the issues, and also she wanted to confirm about this kind of thing, just to confirm, without the SEB browser installed, student will not be able to attempt the quiz, correct?
Yes,
Dr.
correct.
Yeah.
Betul.
Then
Dr. Nasir, Dr. Nasir tolong. Okay.
Nadia has responded it.
Thank you, Dr. Nasir.
There is a question from YouTube, from Dr. Lini Hashim. So the student cannot screenshot or copy and paste when they use SEB. What about if they take picture?
Take picture using own phone maksudnya?
Maybe, I guess.
Boleh lah. So about the SEB is in your device. So if the student has, let's say, a phone with them, so they can just simply take pictures. Lepas tu share ikut phone juga via WhatsApp. So that will not be restricted by SEB. So SEB is only inside the device. So that's why I think some lecturers might still prefer to have another device set up connected to Zoom, for example, to inspect the surroundings of the students during the test. However, I also understand the limitations because not many students would have a second device. Probably they have poor internet connections. So if it's not possible to use the second device, at least you can mitigate the risk of cheating only by using SEB. But of course, yang ni second device, third device, yang tu boleh guna.
Yeah.
The major issue is they can inspect element. So like Google Form, Google Classroom, Moodle, they just inspect element, they can find the correct answer. If the lecturer didn't put the correct answer in the Putra Brush, they can inspect element to check pilihan mana yang paling ramai orang pilih. So those are the major issue constraints we have with the internet online quiz. The major
Thank
issue.
you, Dr. Chong. Yeah, thank you for highlighting that.
Yeah. There is another question from Siti Ngalim. How small is small? Because I think she referring to
How
one.
small? Okay.
When you want to make a
How small is small? Last time we tested with like only 6 students sebenarnya, 6, I think 6 yang Dr. Nasir from Windows user, Mac OS, Mac iOS. Even with those 6 students, we already had headache analyzing all the different user experience. So if you want to start small, my suggestion, okay, for start probably, let's say you conducted a quiz, a normal quiz without using SEB, but there is one student that cannot attend the quiz, mungkin demam ke apa, okay, then maybe you can try SEB with that particular student first, who missed the quiz due to some illness, for example. That is very small lah, one student. But if you want to go higher, if let's say you are more comfortable using SEB, you can start with maybe less than 10 students first. Because the more students you try, the more feedbacks you will get from the students. Doktor, macam mana nak install this? Doktor, kenapa tak dapat? Doktor. So let's start with a few students first. Then you can slowly increase the number of students when you are more familiar with SEB. You as the lecturer yourself first. Then only I think you can provide some technical assistance to the students. Of course, the students are technical savvy as well. They are technical savvy younger generations. But in terms of test, diorang mesti takut that is their test kan, could be their final test. So that's why we also recommend the pre-testing prior to the actual test in order for you to minimize all these technical problems. Okay. So I don't have any specific numbers for how small is small, but my suggestion is you can start with a few students, less than 10 first, then slowly increase lah. Okay, slowly increase.
Dr. Nadia?
Yeah, Dr.
Yes.
Talia.
Yeah. So the video that you showed just now, right, and you fast forward to that one, is that available for students to follow? I mean, for them to understand on the process. Because I think last time I did try, but masa tu the SEB was not really into, I mean, kita tak buat lagi all this analysis and so on. So at that point of time, I have 80 students. So on that particular day, ya betul. So saya pun masa mula-mula, and luckily because for that quiz yang luckily I actually put it for a week. So what happened was I have one student yang dah masuk, and only with one student I have lots of problem. Because I was just masa tu berfikir after 80 students ni I'm going to die lah at the end of the week. Because they have different devices kan, so kita pun tak sure whether there is what kind of laptop ke Mac ke apa ke, so on that note it's very difficult. So I was just wondering kalau kita ada video for the students. And I also discover that once you dah buat click on the save SEB, so pada waktu tu, masa tu saya nak go back, saya nak clearkan the SB, maknanya saya nak go on with the quiz without the save exam browser, and I discover it cannot be done. It has to be restarted again, right? The quiz have to be done again. So I had to create a different link lah for other students. So mungkin I don't know kalau ada any help that we can actually provide our students. Of course, our students can use the web, tapi kat web, YouTube, whatever, sometimes they put it as Moodle kan, so our students pun are not aware of that. Kita pun tak sure. Different interface. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dalia, for highlighting this. Yes, that's actually one of the outputs that our teams aim, which is to produce the step-by-step guideline, which is the soft copy one, and also the tutorial video for 2 sites, okay, the lecturer and also the students. Okay, I have the tutorial video for the lecturer. However, since this is not being advertised to the whole UPM yet, I mean, I did not publicize the video yet. I have the copies. Those are my videos that I record with the students and also the teams. So yeah, if we want to share this, I can do some editing, final editing on the video that I showed just now. Then we can use it and probably provide the YouTube link so that the students can view that tutorial video, and the lecturers as well. I have another video for the lecturers, and I have shared it with a few lecturers and with my department members as well. So on the tutorial videos, yes, it can be done. We have it, just need a little bit of editing. On the second note, yes, if the students have attempted, even only one student has attempted the quiz using SEB, you cannot use or re-edit the setting again. So my advice is that if you're afraid that so many students will have problems using SEB during the test, please make a copy before you start the quiz. So there is one normal copy, one quiz that is not set up using SEB, and another quiz that has been set up using SEB. So probably the students can try the SEB one first. But this is obviously the pre-testing mode lah, the pre-testing mode. So if let's say the students cannot do the quiz that has been set up with SEB, at least you have a backup, a normal copy, a normal quiz copy that has not been set up using SEB. Okay, that is to address Dr. Dahlia. Dr. Dahlia memang bertabah lah, 80 student.
Dan saya punya, I think saya tak pasti whether your team has checked on this or not, because for our faculty, for our school, yeah, we have actually 50% of our students are from China.
I see.
So again, there are challenges there in terms of the devices and itulah. So saya pada, ayalah memang bertabah lah pada tu. But I learn from experience, so it's a good thing.
Okay, I think I also have a similar issue with, similar experience with Dr. Dahlia. When the feature of SEB appeared in the Putra Blast, I was excited to try it because I think similar with Dr. Dahlia. I teach international students, so all my students are international students. So very challenging, but I would like to try at that time. So I just tried first for the quiz, about 60 students. But then at that time, because there was no manual, no video about this kind of thing. So I just try to explore by myself. And then what I had, I think luckily I also have a 2 set of questions, one with SEB, one is without SEB.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do.
So then when I tried first, and of course I received many questions during the exam, because some of them said that they cannot download it. The SEB. So I was, of course a little bit kelang kabut juga lah, but I think I just asked them to install a little bit earlier, maybe one day before, and then when it cannot, then I asked them to switch to another one. But yeah, at that time I think most of the international students, they can do that, but not only very few. Maybe I guess from 60 students, 10 students, they said that they cannot download it because of the computer have an old system. I said that when they try, I couldn't remember that what are the features that show me that said that the system is not supporting the SEB browser. So for that student, so I have to put them into the different set of questions. So that was my experience. So then, but after that, I don't use it anymore, because when dealing with international student, it's very challenging for me to respond of their question and their problems. But I believe that if there is manual, if there is a course workshop for us to follow, I think maybe we will have more tips for us to handle this kind of issue. I believe that it will be a good platform for us in managing the exam. The online exam.
Yeah.
That's my experience.
Thank you, Dr. Zato, for echoing this as well. Yeah, that is what I meant by different user experience due to different versions being supported by SEB, and also the device incompatibility as well. So I know it's very challenging, but again, you can still use SEB, but you have to follow certain recommendations that or tips that we mentioned before. If you want to start small, that would be great. So make yourself familiar with SEB first. Then if you are confident enough to try with a bigger class, then you can slowly increase the number of students. And Dr. Zato, do we have maybe 5 minutes? Because just now I mentioned about the configuration files, right? If you want to incorporate the third-party applications, for example, Zoom, you cannot use manual configuration. If you have time, maybe I can share how you can find the SEB configuration tool in your device. Okay.
I think we have plenty of. Go ahead.
Okay. I will not take much of your time. Okay. So just assume that you have, as a lecturer, you have already downloaded SEB and install it in your device. Remember, you are not required to install SEB if you want to set up the SEB on Putra Plus. You can do it without installing SEB. However, if you are to preview it, then you have to download. And if you want to modify or make your own configuration file, obviously you have to download and install SEB in your device as well. So I have downloaded and installed SEB in my device. Let's assume you already have that particular software in your device. So what you need to do, if let's say you want to incorporate third-party application, for example, Zoom, okay, you need to just find the SEB configuration file. I touched the screen.
Yeah, that's fine. Will you please share the screen, please?
Okay. Kejap ya, share screen. Okay. So on your device, just search for SEB configuration. If you type SEB, you will see this SEB configuration tool. Okay, just click on this. So this is your manual configuration tool. Okay, not manual, sorry. Your configuration tool that you can create yourself. You can add whatever applications you want. You can restrict whatever applications you want. So what I want to highlight here is, I will not go through this SEB configuration file setting. Application. Yeah, application. Okay. So if you click on applications here, there is no permitted applications that is allowed on the student side if they were to conduct the quiz using SEB. Obviously, there is none, but there are so many prohibited processes. So let's say if you want to permit certain application, Zoom for example, what you need to do is just need to go to this permitted process tab and add the choose application and add the application that you want to allow the students to access. In this case, Zoom for example. Because if you, let's say you wish to monitor your students using Zoom and at the same time require your students to do the quiz using SEB, your students cannot be monitored using Zoom if the Zoom itself is not integrated in this SEB function. Remember, because SEB will not allow the students to access to any other applications in the device. So that's why you have to create your own configuration file and permit the access to Zoom. So this is how you can permit the third-party applications. And that is what I mean by it's more complicated. The process is longer. So by now, let's say stick to configure a manual configuration first. If you are okay with that manual configuration, then I think slowly you can explore on the SEB configuration tool. And this is actually the tool or the setting that our teams are trying to create, because we know that UPM lecturers, they love probably use Zoom to monitor the students. So we are trying to get the configuration files done, but again, due to time limitations, other factors, we have yet to finalize the settings for this Zoom, for this SEB configuration file. If let's say we can have this setting set up for the UPM lecturers, then UPM lecturers won't have to create their own configuration file. You can just use the file that are provided by IDEP, for example, that has been specialized and specified. Okay, this configuration file, you can use SEB plus Zoom. This configuration file, SEB plus MS Team, for example. This file is SEB plus whatever. So that is our our grand aim for the study, but yeah, we have yet to finalize those lah. Okay, it's not done yet lah. Okay, that's it for the the configuration file.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Nadia. I didn't know that we can add that kind of thing actually.
Yeah.
I was thinking that at that time how I'm going to have an exam at the same time also monitor through Zoom or through Google Meet. So that I think very, very interesting. There is a question from Dr. Siti. This is still work in progress. Hopefully later we can use for bigger size class. Is it for the small class, or a small number of the class, Dr. Nadia? I don't think so. I guess.
If you are brave enough, like Dr. Dahlia or Dr. Zato, you can start with 60 or 80 students or 100 students if you wish. But again, my advice, you have to start with a small class. Obviously, now you can use with a big class. There is no restriction on that note. But remember, the technical assistance that you need to provide to your students will get headache if you start big. If your students are all familiar, okay, let's say I and Dr. Zato teach the same cohort of students, okay? Let's say I am the first one who use SEB in that cohort, for that cohort of students. So I take the effort to introduce SEB and my students are all familiar with SEB. Then later, if Dr. Zato, who is also teaching the same cohort of students, want to use SEB for her students, which is the same cohort, then there will be no problem for Dr. Zato, because now the students are familiar with SEB and they have SEB installed in their devices. So what it takes now is at least one lecturer that is conversed with SEB in that particular cohort of students, train the cohort of students with SEB, then other lecturers can follow through. But obviously, the more the merrier lah. Lagi ramai lecturer tahu, lagi bagus kan, added value for the lecturers as well. So yeah, you can use with big classes. If let's say the students are familiar, tak ada masalah. No restriction on that. On the configuration, yeah, memang complicated. Even for us, we are not from computer science background ke apa, we really depend on Cik Kamal from IDEC for this configuration. So we try to help each other for the configuration file setting. If we can get them set up, obviously we would love to share it with the lecturers. That would save lots of time on your side. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Nadia, for that kind of.
Thank you.
If there is any question for Dr. Nadia from the participants? No. Okay. Luckily that Dr. Dahlia also have many students already started using it. So maybe some of Dr. Dahlia student was in my class. So that's why I think some of my students actually are familiar with SEB before. So that I think will for me. So that we can also communicate with other lecturers also. So make sure that we can use SEB in our Putra Blast.
Inshallah.
Yeah. Okay, so I think if there is no questions from the participants, so I would like to thank everyone, the participant, as well as the presenters, all the three presenters, which has shared valuable and very useful information, knowledge, sharing experience, for this kind of thing. I think that even though we have a sharing session, but I believe that we are not just share, but also we are giving a lot of input for us to handling our class, handling our assessment, which is I believe very important, especially in this kind of challenging time, because we are not everyone can be in the classroom, in the real classroom, but most of us still conducting this kind of class here, hybrid or still online. So I believe that this kind of tips that we get from this kind of the winner of the PicTL poster last year, I think it's very useful for us to be for us to learn and for us to implement in our teaching and learning, also in our class. Yeah. So I would like to thank the first presenter, Dr. Nasuhali Abdullah, from very far away from USM, for sharing his her experience in conducting this kind of alternative assessment, and also to the second presenter, Dr. Chong Min, for sharing about the apps, the mobile app of UD University, and also the last presenter, Dr. Nadia, for sharing the information for her experience in using or implementation of Safe Exam Browser in UPM. So I think I also would like to thanks to everyone, and also to the Deputy Director of CADe, Dr. Dahlia, to the CADe members, the CADe staff, technical staff, all this kind of the staff which is behind our webinar for conducting this kind of very important webinar session. So thank you very much. I think maybe with that notes, or maybe Dr. Dahlia want to say something, Dr. Dahlia? All right.
No, thank you.
All right. So thank you very much. So we will see you in the next webinar session, maybe next week, I guess. Okay. Alright, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Zato, Dr. Dalia, Dr. Chong, Dr. Nasuha.
Thank you semua.
Thank you, everyone.
Sharing.
Thank you, Kat.
Ambil gambar.
Kena ambil gambar sekarang tu.
Azri dah ambil rasanya. Azri
Dah,
akan
kita
ambil.
dah ambil dah.
Dia dah akan ambil.
Ah.
Dan dia akan share.
Thank you,
Thank
Kat.
you.
Thank you,
Assalamualaikum.
everyone.